Connor McDavid sits at that 2026 exit interview looking like a guy who already knows how this sounds.
The organization as a whole is taking a step back, and that starts with me.
Because he's said some version of it before, and that's the part Oilers fans should hate the most. 2 straight trips to the Stanley Cup Final, one of them reaching Game 7, then a first-round exit. Not a step forward, a hard slide backward. And right when the team should be all in, McDavid signs a 2-year extension at a discount instead of grabbing the monster money he could have found somewhere else. So, this isn't just about one playoff loss, it's about a franchise getting another gift and still looking stuck. For most of the McDavid era, the standard in Edmonton hasn't been make the playoffs or win a round. That stopped feeling impressive a while ago, because when you have the best player on earth, every season starts with one question. Are they finally good enough to win the cup? That's the pressure, and for a minute it looked like the answer might finally be yes. The 2024 final against Florida felt dead early. Edmonton dropped the first 3 games. The series looked cooked, and the whole thing had that awful feel of a team realizing the stage might be just a little too big. Then came that locker room moment after Game 2. McDavid barking at the room to dig in. And it wasn't some fake movie speech either. It landed because the team actually responded.
It's not ideal, but it's happened so many times. But that's good enough. Finals. Dig the in right now!
Edmonton fought back, dragged the series all the way to Game 7, and suddenly the impossible looked real. That's why losing that last game hurt so much. Not because they lost, but because fans could see the path. Florida didn't look untouchable anymore. Edmonton had figured out how to make the series ugly, fast, and alive again. And it still ended 1 win short. Honestly, that can mess with a fan base more than getting swept, because now you know exactly how close the cup was. Then 2025 arrived, and in a weird way, that run hurt even more because it proved 2024 wasn't some one-off miracle sprint. Edmonton got back to the final. Same opponent, same dream, different route, same punch to the ribs. They lost in 6, and even that number doesn't fully catch how much hope was packed into that series, because they kept hanging around and making it feel like another push might come. After 2 straight years like that, a pattern started to show. The Oilers could get to the last door, but they still couldn't break through it. McDavid and Draisaitl kept carrying a massive share of the load, and the support around them still felt patched together with whatever the front office could find lying around. The coaching staff kept adjusting things on the fly, which sounds smart until you notice they're often adjusting the same problems over and over. Defensive chaos. Too much stress when games tighten up. Not enough insulation when the stars get smothered. So by the time 2026 rolled around, this wasn't supposed to be the push. Instead, it turned into the season that changed the whole mood. When the 2026 playoffs opened, nobody in Edmonton wanted speeches about patience, growth, or lessons. That stage was over.
You know, an average team with high expectations, you're going to be disappointed.
This group had already paid tuition, bought the textbook, and sat through the class twice. People expected a team that knew exactly who it was and how to handle hard games. Instead, the Oilers went out in the first round. And that kind of loss hits different when the team isn't young, innocent, or building towards something new. It feels old. It feels like a warning. And yeah, key injuries didn't help either. Because once a couple of important guys were limited or missing, all the same thin spots looked even thinner. You could hear that in McDavid's exit interview.
The organization as a whole is taking a step back, and that starts with me. Starts with Leon. We all can be better, and we all need to be better, you know?
I mean, that's been the whole year. I've been searching for consistency all year. Obviously, we didn't find it here in the playoffs.
He didn't sound angry in the loud, easy way. He sounded tired, like a guy running out of answers. The usual words about progress didn't carry much weight. And when your captain talks like that, fans notice because star players usually protect the room and give everyone something to cling to for the summer. McDavid didn't really do that. He looked like a player staring at the same problem again and wondering why nobody fixed it the first 2 times. That part matters because this wasn't just one bad week. The first-round exit felt like proof that Edmonton isn't climbing anymore. They're circling. The same weak spots keep showing up when the games get tight, which tells you this wasn't just bad luck or one goalie standing on his head. Cup teams usually get sharper under pressure. Edmonton still gets messy. Breakouts get shaky. Coverage gets scrambled. And too often, the whole thing starts looking like everybody drank 3 energy drinks and forgot their assignments.
And out of the NHL, where the Oilers have fired head coach Chris Knoblauch after 3 seasons. In his first 2 years, he led Edmonton to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals before losing to the Panthers in both seasons. This year, the Oilers lost in the opening round to the Ducks.
A lot of that lands on coaching. You can survive flaws in the regular season because talent covers them. And the Oilers have more talent than almost anybody. The playoffs are different. Teams take away time, space, and your first idea. So, structure has to carry you when the pretty stuff disappears. Edmonton still hasn't looked clean enough in those moments. They chase offense when the game calls for control, open themselves up in bad spots, and don't consistently play the boring, mean, low-event hockey that wins in May and June. Pretty cool for a random Tuesday in January. Not so cool when your season is on life support. Then you get to management, and this is where the whole thing gets ugly fast. Stan Bowman doesn't get to hide behind Connor McDavid's talent and call it team building. Having the best player alive is not a plan, it's a gift. And your job is to build the kind of roster that makes life easier on him instead of asking him to drag the team uphill every spring. Edmonton still looks top-heavy, still leans too hard on the same stars, and still doesn't give them enough cover when teams sell out to stop them. If your entire identity turns into "hope McDavid solves it," that is not roster construction, that's a prayer. And that's what makes the next part sting so much more.
We continue to follow breaking news at HQ. Connor McDavid re-signing with the Edmonton Oilers.
McDavid signs a 2-year extension at a discount. He could have chased a number north of $20 million a year somewhere else, and nobody would have blamed him. Nobody. He earned that right years ago. Instead, he leaves money on the table because he still wants this to work in Edmonton. That's faith. That's loyalty. That's also a giant flashing sign telling management, "I'm giving you one more chance. Please don't waste it." Only right now, that's exactly what it feels like they're doing. His extension should calm people down. It should make fans think, okay, the best player in the world still believes. Weirdly, it does the opposite. It raises the pressure because now the clock feels louder. These 2 years aren't some cozy safety blanket. They're a deadline. Every bad move hits harder. Every soft playoff game looks worse. Every summer excuse sounds dumber. The Oilers didn't just keep their superstar, they borrowed time. And borrowed time has a nasty habit of charging interest. So, being an Oiler right now isn't only frustrating because the team lost early. It's frustrating because the path ahead doesn't look cleaner than the path behind them. Coaching still invites doubt. Management still invites doubt. The roster still feels like it needs too much from too few guys. And over all of it sits McDavid, staying for less money than he could have grabbed elsewhere, basically daring the organization to prove it deserves him. That's why this moment feels so rotten in Edmonton. This isn't one unlucky spring or some fake sports radio panic. They got close enough to believe, close enough to picture the parade, and then close enough turned into backward. The worst part is that McDavid just handed the franchise another opening. He didn't chase every dollar and he didn't leave. He took a shorter, cheaper extension and basically said, build something good enough. That should embarrass everyone in charge. If coaching stays loose, if Bowman keeps patching holes instead of fixing the frame, and if the roster still asks the stars to do all the heavy lifting, this won't be remembered as a team that almost broke through. It'll be remembered as the team that got the best player of his generation and kept wasting the years that mattered most. So, that's the question hanging over everything now. Do you still trust the Oilers to build a real cup team before this clock runs out? Or does this already feel like the part where everybody sees the problem and nobody stops it? If you enjoyed this video, check out this NHL lifestyle video. It's not what you think.